What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick. Cabal on the field. Cacus here. Guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button to support the channel, and let me know what you want my next intro name to be. That comment section is out of control. Alright, today we have some pretty darn new Destiny 2 news coming from the most recent Bungie weekly update, which unveiled official information. Now, I wasn't able to cover this immediately upon it coming out because, frankly, there was some more pressing issues at hand. I did a video discussing this season's version of the Breach and Clear mod, what is undoubtedly going to become one of, if not the most important PvE artifact mods for the entire season for the next 6 months. Absolutely check that out if you haven't. The background gameplay is me using it with the Vex Mythoclast and just deleting enemies. And then also, we had a hunter exotic that broke Destiny 2. You could quite literally get half of your super energy in a matter of seconds without even killing a single enemy. Yeah, so that was pretty crazy as well. But moving on from there, let's talk about this new Destiny 2 news. Now, first and foremost, Bungie discusses the massive overhauls to light subclasses, starting with Void with the launch of the Witch Queen, and then Solar and Arc coming later in Year 5. They also say specifically that there will be no new Darkness subclass with the Witch Queen or through Year 5. There was a lot of speculation that that may be the case, especially when Beyond Light added Stasis, but they're going to focus on redoing all of the light subclasses so that they are now in the layout of Darkness subclasses. So with Void, which is going to launch first, there is going to now be Void aspects, Void fragments, and you're going to be able to choose between a bunch of different stuff and have much more customization when choosing your loadout. Additionally, they say there's going to be no new stasis aspects or fragments arriving along Season of the Lost, and they felt that, stasis was good enough. They didn't need to necessarily introduce more stuff. However, they do say there's going to be a Season of the Lost balance patch and another patch you'll hear about below debuting in the 30th anniversary event. So let's talk about Void and how it's really dramatically changing. So Bungie refers to this as Void 3.0, and here are some examples of changes. A reduction to how many one-shot kill abilities are available in the Crucible, and shifting super energy regeneration so that players are more rewarded for participating in combat versus waiting for a timer. Additionally, with these subclass remixes and Void 3.0, they're going to add brand new abilities and mechanics, as well as ditching some of the old ones where it makes sense to do so. This is very important, and I think a lot of players just thought they'd be using the existing perks and reshuffling them into this new framework. No, there's going to be brand new stuff when this launches. So with this update, they're actually going to define a core set of keywords that will be used by the various perks and abilities within the Void subclass, similar to how they did that with Stasis and then Slow, Freeze, and Shatter. Those keywords apply throughout all the different classes. Additionally, these verbs will actually appear outside the subclass screen. Perks will mention it, exotic armor will mention it, and mods from your seasonal artifact will mention it as well. Similar to how we just got stasis weaponry and they can produce stasis shards. Well, everyone knows what a stasis shard is due to those subclasses. Alright, so let's go over those new Void keywords. Firstly, we have 3 that are negative status effects. They are debuffs that you will be applying to enemies. Firstly, we have Suppression. The target is knocked out of any active abilities and can't activate any abilities or movement modes as long as Suppression persists. Afflicted enemy AI combatants can't shoot their weapons. Then we've got Weaken. The target takes increased damage and has their movement slowed. Enemy AI combatants fire their weapons with decreased accuracy. And lastly, we have Volatile. The target is afflicted with unstable void energy and will explode upon taking additional damage or on death. So those are the debuffs, but then we have 3 positive effects that you're going to be applying to yourself and allies. Firstly, we have Void Overshield, a protective barrier of void light which reduces damage taken from combatants. Then we have Invisibility. You vanish from sight and do not appear on enemy radar. And lastly, we have Devour. You feast on the energy of your foes. Kills restore you to full health, grant grenade energy, and extend Devour. And wow, there are some big takeaways from this. The fact that all 6 are associated with Void in general means that there could be some mixing and matching. Could Titans gain access to Devour? That would be insane. Additionally, the weaken keyword being here as well. Guys, we've had Oppressive Darkness as a seasonal mod multiple times and players have loved it. Could an aspect add Oppressive Darkness to your grenade abilities, for example? That would be amazing as well. In fact, Bungie actually goes over some examples of some of the abilities coming once Void 3.0 drops. So firstly, we have the Nightstalker Hunter. So we have Shadow Shot, Mobius Quiver, Super. Now right off the bat, the fact that they have specifically said Mobius Quiver means that right now, if you go to your Stasis subclass and you hover over Super, it's a drop-down menu, but you only have one option, right? And obviously this was done with the framework of potentially being able to add more Stasis Supers in the future. It sounds like that's what's happening with Void 3.0. Obviously, we have 2 different types of Shadow Shot, and then we also have Spectral Blades. So likely that drop-down menu will actually be able to select different supers. And again, the fact that they specified that indicates that that is the case. In any event, here for Mobius Quiver, you fire 2 volleys of 3 Void arrows in a cone, which seek out enemies and spawn Void anchors on impact. Shadow Shot makes tethered enemies volatile and deals increased damage to tethered targets. Bungie says one of the main usability pain points of the current iteration of Mobius Quiver is having to press the super input a whole bunch of times to fire each arrow individually, which is cumbersome and takes a lot of time, and often results in the player drifting somewhere they didn't intend to be, off a cliff, etc. By firing multiple arrows at once, it should be a lot easier to blanket an area with traps in preparation for a fight or to put a burst of damage on a boss. That is a huge change. But that's not all. They go over a brand new aspect called Stylish Executioner. So defeating a weakened, suppressed, or volatile target grants invisibility and true sight. After performing a stylish execution, your next melee attack while invisible weakens enemies. Whew, like that's pretty darn powerful also. So Bungie says a twist on the Middle Tree Nightstalker's current flawless execution perk. This aspect lets the hunter specialize in defeating debuffed enemies to keep looping their invisibility. I mean, that for PvE sounds incredible. Alright, moving on from there, we have the Sentinel Titan. So we have a new aspect called Overwatch, which says cast a Void-empowered barricade to grant a Void overshield to yourself and nearby allies. The empowered barricade slowly regenerates the Void overshield of allies bunkering behind it. Wow! Bungie says we wanted players to be able to lean into the Sentinel fantasy of being a frontline protector for your team. So Overwatch is a powerful tool for setting up prior to an encounter and providing a safe haven to fall back to when things get spicy. And I mean that in PvP, providing an overshield to your entire team, potentially that's gonna be a little sus. That sounds really darn good. But we also have Shield Toss, which is a projectile melee. And again, remember, with the drop-down menu, you just select which melee you want. So with this one, you hurl your shield towards an enemy. The shield can ricochet off enemies and surfaces, granting you a small chunk of Void Overshield for each enemy you hit. So Bungie says we wanted to give Titans more options when it comes to projectile melees. Shield Toss is a great choice for aggressively pushing forward into groups of enemies, softening them up and giving you extra staying power. And wow, that's actually crazy. Like, Titan has never really had, aside from throwing hammer, anything like this. So this is a huge new tool in your arsenal and giving you defensive capabilities as well with the overshield. This sounds really, really good. But moving on from there, for the Voidwalker Warlock, firstly, we have Pocket Singularity, which is a melee. So Launch a tracking unstable ball of void energy that detonates when it nears an enemy, pushing targets away from the blast and making them volatile. So Bungie says they designed this as an anti-dive tool and a way to push enemies out of cover. With careful placement, it's possible and satisfying to bop enemies in the air and then pop their volatile with a well-placed headshot before they hit the ground. And yeah, this is another huge new tool in Warlock's arsenal. And then we have a new aspect, Child of the Old Gods. Cast your Rift to summon a sentient black hole which hovers at your side waiting for a target. It will launch itself at enemies, then begin siphoning their energy and weakening them, refunding their life force back to you as either grenade and melee energy if you're using Healing Rift, or health if you're using Empowering Rift. Feel like those are backwards, but defeating enemies who are being siphoned by the child will refund some Rift energy. Okay, what the heck? Bungie says Child of the Old Gods is a strong debuff tool that gives Voidwalkers an additional way to lock down an area while sustaining themselves. And this just sounds insane. I'm sure some of the aspects and abilities will be exactly the same as how they are in-game right now, but this shows like these subclasses are going to feel really, really different. They're almost going to feel like brand new subclasses when the Witch Queen launches with this many new abilities, and even with the old abilities, because you can mix and match them and have combos that you never could before. Again, these are really, really going to change. And guys, the last piece of important information is some brand new Bungie Prime rewards seen here. So we have the Wordcliff Coil Exotic Rocket Launcher, great if you haven't got it. Then there's the Diesel Punk Exotic Ornament for it, the Eon Drive Exotic Sparrow, and the Lost Legendary Ghost Projection. Guys, that is it for the video. I hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.